Assalamu alaikum viewers, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm making full length umbrella dress for young girls, and I'm making this dress for the measurement shown on screen, so you can change your measurements accordingly. And I'm using silk fabric and net fabric for this dress. 3 yards of silk fabric will be used and 2.5 meters of net fabric. This net fabric is 64 inches wide, so 2.5 meters will be used, but we'll use it very precisely and I'll show you how. And apart from net and silk fabric, we'll use lining fabric. So let's get started. I'm cutting net skirt first, and for that I folded the fabric lengthwise, and this is 48 inches on fold, and this is the closed side of the fabric. Normally when we cut umbrella skirt, we fold the fabric once and then we move the fabric from one corner to this side to make a triangle, but I'm not folding it again. So my fabric is in 2 layers, and I'll mark for the waist and full length of the skirt on one time folded fabric. So we can also cut skirt in this way. Because this is net fabric, it's very soft and it's very difficult to handle, right? So my fabric is 48 inches on fold, and this is the width of the fabric, which is 64 inches. And first of all, we'll mark for waist of the skirt, and this fabric is in 2 layers, so we need to find out half of our waist. Our waist is 30 inches and half of it is 15 inches, so we'll place our measuring tape here to find out where 15 inch lies. It lies here. We'll mark at that point and check out the distance of this point from the corner, and that is 10 inches. So we'll mark at 10 inch from the corner. In this way our waist would be in a slight curve shape like this. Now we'll mark for full length of the skirt, and our full length is 42 inches including 2 inch seam allowance. So we'll place our measuring tape from the waistline to 42 inch and mark here, and we'll check out the distance of this point from the corner, and that is at 52 inch. So we'll mark at 52 inch from the corner for full length of the skirt. When we'll trim the waist part, we'll get 42 inch long skirt. So I'm marking at 52 inch from the corner. Our fabric is 48 inches long on fold, and we need to mark at 52 inch. So we'll have to attach a joint here. This part of the fabric has a design on this side, so we will place it in the center front, and the center front will be open as well. So our joint will be at center front. Otherwise this part would be our center back, and this folded part would be our center front. But as I have this design on this side of the fabric and I want it to be at my center front of the dress, so I'll attach the joint here, but this is net fabric, so joint won't be that much visible. And the same design is on the opposite side of the fabric as well. So we'll take the fabric for the joint from this opposite side, from this side, right? So first of all, we'll cut for the waist and full length of the skirt we marked earlier. So I've cut the waist part and the full length. Now we'll attach joint here, and for that we need to find out the length and width of the joint we want, and that is 5 inches with 1 inch overlapping and 23 inch wide. So we need to cut 5 inch long and 23 inch wide fabric from this opposite side for the joint. And as the fabric is already folded, we need 2 layers of fabric for the joint, and we got it. We'll place this piece of fabric over here where we want our joint to be, and mark at this point according to the length of the skirt. So we'll trim the extra fabric. We'll stitch the joint in place, and our net skirt is done. And from this piece of fabric we'll cut the bodice and sleeves, but after cutting silk bodice, and before that we'll cut silk skirt. So this is our silk fabric, and I folded the fabric lengthwise, and this is the folded side. I folded it at 50 inch and I pinned the fabric in place so it won't move, and then I'll move this corner of the fabric to the other side to make a triangle, as we cut the net skirt, we can also cut silk skirt in the same way. But here I folded it again, so I'll place this corner of the fabric to the other side and make a triangle. I pinned the fabric here so it won't move. Now our fabric is in 4 layers, so we'll find out 1/4 of our waist, and 1/4 of our waist is 7.5 inch. We'll place measuring tape where 7.5 inch lies. Mark at this point and check out the distance of this point from the corner, and that is 10 inches. So mark at 10 inch from the corner for the waist, like this, and mark for full length of the skirt from the waistline. I'm taking 40 inch for length of silk skirt because I'm not keeping seam allowance here. It will be 2 inch less than the net skirt. 40 inch lies here. We'll check out the distance of this point from the corner. It is 50 inch. So we'll mark at 50 inches from the corner. When we'll trim the waist part, we'll get 42 inch long skirt. Now we'll cut at these two lines, the waistline and full length of the skirt. So we have cut the silk skirt as well, and we didn't attach any joint as well because the silk fabric was long enough. So our silk skirt is done. Now we'll cut the bodice. I'm cutting the bodice on lining first and then take it as pattern to cut silk and net skirt. And for that I took 2 pieces of lining fabric. Length is 14.5 inch and width of these 2 pieces is 22 inch. We'll fold back part of the bodice like this and place the front part on it, keeping a 1/2 inch extra fabric at the center back because we need seam allowance for zip. Now we'll mark for the shoulders first. I'm marking at 7.5 inch. We mark for half of the shoulder. At this point we'll mark for armhole. We mark half of armhole round, and normally I mark at 7.5 inch for armhole, but here I'm marking at 7 inches because we won't attach lining under the sleeves, so we'll keep it 1/2 inch less than normal. At this point we mark at 1/4 of the chest, and I'm marking at 8.5 inch according to 34 inch chest size. So it's 8.5 here. At 1 inch we'll mark for cutting. For the waist we mark at 1/4 of the waist, and that is 7.5 according to 30 inch waist, and at 1 inch we'll mark for cutting. From this mark of cutting we'll draw a shape for back armhole like this. For front armhole we mark at 1 inch inwards here and join this point to the top, and we'll pass the curve of front armhole through this line and join it to the mark of cutting like this. For neck width I'm marking at 3.5 inch, and for neck depth I'm marking at 6 inches, and for back depth I'm marking at 2 inch. Join these 2 points in a straight line for V-neck shape. And we'll keep the back neck round like we normally do, so join it in this way. Now we'll cut for back neck first, back armhole and sides. Separate the back part and cut front armhole and front neckline. So now we have cut the bodies on lining fabric. We'll take it as pattern and cut silk bodies for both front and back part. So I have cut silk bodies as you can see here for front and back part, and now we'll cut the net bodies. So this is the piece of net fabric we're left with after cutting the skirt, and we'll cut bodies and sleeves from this piece of fabric. First of all we'll cut the sleeves. This is the design part of the fabric and we'll keep it at the bottom of our sleeves. And for sleeves we need to take a few measurements: the wrist round, elbow round, bicep round, because we'll make the sleeve in fitting. Then fold the fabric. I folded it at 4.5 inch, that is the bottom round of our sleeves, and then we'll mark for the length of the sleeve. I'm keeping the length of the sleeve at 24 inches, that is the full length of the sleeve. So we mark it here. Our armhole will be in a slight curve and our fabric is in the same shape, so we have no problem at all. So we'll mark here for full length. Then we'll take 7-inch armhole, and at that point we'll give a 3-inch slope. So we'll mark here and cut our fabric in a curve shape like we normally do. But here we'll have to attach a joint because we folded the fabric at 4.5 inch only. But we'll first cut the armhole, and the joint for this part of the sleeve will be taken from this fabric. We need 2 pieces for the joint, and this fabric is in 2 pieces. So we'll simply cut the armhole in the same shape with 1 inch overlapping. We'll cut at 7 inch from the top and in the shape of the sleeve like this. So our sleeves are done, and now we'll cut the bodice from the rest of the fabric, and we'll cut the back bodice first. Length of the back bodice is 14.5 inches, so we'll trim this design up to 14.5 inch. We don't need it at the back part of the bodice, and we'll cut 14.5 inch long piece of fabric. The rest of the fabric length is more than 14.5, but we won't trim it. We need more length for the front bodice. I'll tell you later on. So I've cut 14.5 inch long piece of fabric. We'll place this net fabric on the lining piece and cut the back bodice in the same shape. Now we'll take the front part of our bodice. We have cut lining and silk fabric for the front part. We'll stitch both from the neckline. After stitching from the neckline, we'll turn the lining to the wrong side, and after pressing nicely, we'll measure the length of the bodice down the neckline, and that is 8 inches from the center front. And now we'll take the net fabric pieces we have. These are in 2 parts. We'll stitch these 2 pieces up to 8 inch. So we'll mark at 8 inch from the bottom and stitch both the pieces up to this point. So I've attached both the pieces up to 8 inch. Now this design will come in our center front here, and we'll continue this design to our V neckline. So we'll fold this extra fabric from here and align this design to our V-shaped neck. Pin the net fabric from the bottom and from the neckline. So this design will start from our V-shaped neck to the center front of the bodice down to the bottom of our skirt. And because of pinning this design on our V neck, there is some extra fabric which will be gathered here. So this one, and we'll make a pleat of this extra fabric at this point. We'll do the same on the other side of the bodice. This extra fabric will be pleated here. That's why we took the length of the front bodice more than the back bodice. We'll pin this pleat from the wrong side. We are pinning only the net fabric, and whatever fabric is folded in the pleat, we are pinning that part of the fabric only, and we'll stitch here. So we'll do the same on the other side. We'll pin the fabric from here. This part of the fabric is folded in the wrong side. So after pinning, we'll stitch the pleat at this point. So we'll make a stitch line here and here. So I've made 2 stitch lines, and you can see the stitch lines from the wrong side. So this is the pleat we got, And I have hand stitched the neckline as well, only the net fabric. Now we'll pin the net fabric to the bodice again from all sides now, from the neckline, bottom, and throughout the bodice, and trim extra fabric. We are cutting the net in the same shape as the bodice. And we'll give a 1-inch slope at the bottom, and in this way the shape of the bodice will be perfect. It won't hang down from the side, so we are giving a 1-inch slope from the side like this. And now we'll stitch it from all sides. And now for the back bodice, we already cut lining and silk fabric, and then we cut net in the same shape. We'll separate the lining for now. We'll place the net fabric on the right side of the silk and place lining on the net and stitch from the neckline and center back. So neckline and center back, we'll stitch from here. First I pinned it, now stitch. And I stitched these pieces together with lining facing me, and I didn't stitch from the silk side, otherwise the fabric will be difficult to handle. So the lining was facing me when I stitched the center back. And now turn the lining to the other side and give a nice press, and then stitch the bodice from all sides. So I've stitched from all sides, armhole, shoulder, sides, and now place the back bodice on the front bodice facing right sides together and stitch the shoulders and the sides. So I've stitched the shoulders and the side, trim back bodice as well as we did the front part of the bodice. And now we'll attach the sleeves. So we already cut the sleeves, and there were 2 pieces for the joint on the sleeves. So we'll first attach the joints in place and hem the bottom. We only need to fold the extra fabric to the wrong side and hand stitch. So I've attached the joints and hemmed the bottom as well. Now stitch the side seam. So I've stitched the side seam, and they are in fitting, so they're looking very nice. I'll show you. So we'll turn the right side out, and this is how they will look like. So the net sleeves look nicer in fitting. So as you can see here, this is how it will look like. Now our sleeves are done. We'll simply attach the sleeves to our bodies. And before that, we'll give a slight slope for front armhole. Now our sleeves are right side out and our bodice is wrong side out. We'll align the side seam to side seam and center of the sleeve to the shoulder of the bodice and pin in place. Matching the armholes together and stitch here. So after pinning, I attach the sleeves in place and will attach the net fabric to the main bodice from the neckline in the end. And now we'll get our skirt done. And we'll simply stitch one open side of our skirt, this side, and our skirt will be done. And we'll hem the bottom of the skirt in the end after adjusting the length of the skirt we want. And when we'll stitch the side seam, we'll keep 5 to 6 inch unstitched from the top for the zip opening and stitch the rest of the skirt. So I kept 5 to 6 inches unstitched from the top, that is the center back, and we'll give a notch at the center front of our skirt. So this will be our center front, and our skirt is done. The silk skirt is done. Now we'll take our net skirt, and this opening of the net skirt will be our center front, and that will be open, so we don't need to stitch it here. We'll simply give a notch at the center back, and we'll just finish this center front by folding the extra fabric to the wrong side and hand stitching it. So I folded this extra fabric and this is nicely done. As you can see here, I hand stitched it. Place the net fabric like this. This is our center back. We'll place our silk skirt on it, matching the center back and pinning it in place. The center back of the silk skirt to the center back of the net skirt, and then match the center front of net skirt and the silk skirt from both sides here. Pin in place and then align the rest of the waist and stitch here. So I've pinned the net and the silk skirt from the waist and then stitch, and we'll hem the bottom of the silk skirt and the net skirt at the end. And we'll also make a slit at the center back of the net skirt and fold it to the wrong side and finish the opening. So I have attached both the skirts from the waistline and made a slit at the center back of the net skirt as well. As you can see here, it's done. Now we'll turn the right side out of the skirt only and attach it to the bodice. The bodice is right side out. We'll insert it inside the skirt and pin the zip opening in the bodice to the opening in the skirt. That is the center back. And the center front of the bodice where we have this design and center front of the skirt where we have design 2. So align these center front of the bodice and the skirt together, pin here and then stitch the waist. So I have attached the bodice and the skirt from the waist, and this is very important to align this design here. That is the center front of the bodice and the skirt. So it will continue from top to bottom. Now we'll simply place a zip under this opening and top stitch it. So we have attached the zip, simply top stitched it, and now we'll hand stitch the net bodice and the main bodice from the neckline. And after hand stitching the neckline, now we'll hem the bottom of the skirt. So we'll fold the net fabric at 1 inch and then fold again and hand stitch it. We'll do the same for the silk skirt. We'll fold it at 1 inch and then again and hand stitch it. And it will be helpful to pin the bottom first and then hem. So I pinned it, folded it twice at 1 inch and pinned the fabric in place. And you're not supposed to stretch the fabric because it is cut in a circle, and if you will stretch it you will get flaws and it won't be nicely done. So I hemmed the bottom of both the skirts, and you can see I hand stitch it. I didn't stitch it on machine, so it's very nicely done. And I did the same for the silk skirt. I hand stitched it without stretching. So we hemmed the bottom of both the skirts at the end. So our dress is ready and it is looking really very nice. I hope you liked the video, and I hope you like the trick I used to arrange the design on the center front of the bodice and the skirt. And make sure to subscribe my channel if you have not subscribed yet, and like the video if you do. And Allah Hafiz till the next video. Thank you so much for watching.